shit. I think that's no one, you don't think to me. I'm against the rain, I'm in the side of baby. I ain't riding my some baby. I think that's my everything. Never can I kill the whole plan.
What's the deal, my people? Thank you for joining me in my channel, Panama's OG Truth. Today we're going to be talking about the Memphis Grizzlies superstar point guard, Ja Morant. He's been on the news last couple of days, and the publicity that he's getting is not too good. And I usually don't talk about athletes, because to me, athletes are gifted human beings that God, gave them, other abilities that other people don't have. That being said, Mr. Ja Morant, he comes from what I see, he comes from a stable family. His mom, she was a high school point guard, so she played the game of basketball herself. She was also a softball player. His dad also had a basketball game. He plays semi-pro from what I see. He gave up his career once his wife, Ja's mom, was pregnant with him. So his dad became a barber. So he gave up his basketball dreams to take care of his family right there and then. He became a barber. So everything that I see in Morant's early life shows to stability. It shows to a good background, a good household. In other words, he wasn't raised in the projects. He wasn't raised in a crime-ridden area. He don't come from that background, okay? So we're going to establish that right now. All right, because I believe in you have some people that are victims of their environment, like where they grew up. They had to adapt and do certain things to survive in that environment. That's not the case with Ja Morant. That's not the case, okay? Well, obviously, he's gifted. He has a tremendous basketball game, okay? And if you pay attention, he accomplished a lot in the junior league. He wasn't recruited by a real big time college program. He wasn't recruited, at all by any college program that was, a so-called powerhouse. So he played for smaller teams that didn't have that big time, exposure. That being said, he proved everybody wrong by being selected number 2 in the overall draft. And this back in 2019, he was picked by the Memphis Grizzlies. So within the minute that he stepped into the league, he showed why he was selected overall number 2. 2020, Rookie of the Year. I mean, he was already showing that flash and that ability, that superstar, I'll kill you attitude. And he started getting into trouble. And I always say that the way how you raise your kids reflects on who you are, okay? That's honest to God truth. If you raise your kids a certain way, I believe your kids gonna react a certain way. And I'm not saying that you can control everything your kids do, but there's certain things that you as a parent, you should have in mind when you're talking about your kids here, okay? Especially when your kid, your son, is a multi-million-dollar worth basketball player. And when I say multi-million-dollar worth, he just signed a contract over $200 million. 23 years old. And he already has a contract that's worth over $200 million. And we're not talking about endorsement deals with Nike. He's the face of Powerade. He just signed a contract with Powerade not too long ago. So he is obviously moving in the right direction when it comes to his money, okay? Like I said, the talent, he's raw and uncut. I mean, he reminds me of a Allen Iverson type motherfucker. And the same thing, the controversy. The only thing is that his mom was at a finish line, all right? At the mall, and somewhere down the line, when she went to go pay for whatever she was buying, something happened between her and the person that was scanning her credit card. I don't know if her credit card, it didn't register, and the teller asked her to scan it again. They got into a confrontation. They got into a big argument, and she ended up calling Ja to come up there to the finish line, I guess to confront the person that she was having this dispute with. So right here and there, I see something wrong with this. Because as a mom, now think about what I'm saying. As a mom, why would you call your son to the mall to confront somebody that you feel has disrespected you or whatever. Knowing that your son is worth millions and millions of dollars, is a superstar basketball player, which people are going to recognize. Possibly you know your son is a hothead. So why would you put yourself in a position of, let me call my son up here to this finish line to confront this employee that's probably getting paid $15, $16 an hour, you know, and put yourself in a predicament where you or your son can end up, you know, doing some foolish shit. But she did that. She called him up there. And, you know, son ain't gonna tell mom no. So he pulls on up there. Get this, y'all. He pulls up with himself, 8 other cats, in total 9. He pulls up to the mall, to the finish line, 9 deep, all right, to confront a finish line employee. Now, what kind of shit is that? You're a multi-million-dollar basketball superstar, worth way more than you can imagine. Like I said, he signed with Nike. He got his own shoes, Powerade. The sky's the limit with this guy. So, mom, why would you call your son to come up to the mall for some petty-ass shit like that and put him in a spot? Arguably, that's not a smart idea. As a parent, you need to protect your son, not encourage that bullshit. So what ended up happening is somebody that was with him, part of his entourage, ended up pushing the security guard head, the main security guard at the mall, because they were asking him to leave. They were causing a commotion up in there, you know. They were, you know, talking shit, threatening the employee. So they called security. So they ended up, you know, firing off on the security. So, you know, this is all fucked up because you acting like somebody ain't got no sense. Like you out here in the motherfucking club and you over here trying to make your point. You know, like, come on, man. You don't do no shit like that, man. You don't do no shit like that. I mean, it's just weak. It makes you look weak and it's not good. So that's the first one. 4 days after that, he has a basketball game at his house, a pickup game. So you got some people over there, they're hooping, okay? And you already know, as in any other sport, when in the competition of heat, you know, you get mad, you know, you throw elbows, you know, you talking shit. It's a sport, you know, you're competing. Well, he had words with this youngster, a 17-year-old kid, and he ended up throwing the ball at the youngster. Well, the youngster threw it back. Well, when he threw it back, it hit Ja in the face. Ja got mad, got up in the youngster's face, you know, put his chin on his shoulder and looked at his partner and said, should I do it? And his partner was like, yeah. And he beat for the youngster. Next thing you know, he has the youngster down on the ground and he's leaning off on his ass. Hit his ass about 12, 13 times. Youngster walked out with a big old knot on his head. So then Ja goes into his house, comes back with a gun in his waistband, talking about, like, why would you have to pull out a gun on a 17-year-old kid that you just got done beating up? And keep this in mind, his partner helped Ja jump this youngster. So it was 2 grown men beating the shit out this 17-year-old kid at his house at a pickup basketball game. Now, that's not necessary, first of all, okay? You ain't got to do no shit like that, all right? I understand the heat of the moment, you do things, but come on, man. Second of all, why you got to go get a gun? I mean, why you got to get a gun on a 17-year-old kid? I mean, you feel threatened or something? I mean, I don't see it as he, you know, him being threatened. You know, you have this youngster at your house playing basketball, you know? So for you to let him over to your house, you know, you got to know that he's not a threat. So why go get the gun? Okay? So Ja is trying to prove that he's not to be fucked with, that he's a gangster. That's the way I take it, okay? Because if you got to go get a gun on a 17-year-old kid or whatever, that's just bullshit, all right? And, you know, it's a form of intimidation. That's what he's trying to do. So then you have the altercation with the Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers came to Memphis. They played, all right? Indiana beat them in Memphis. The Grizzlies lost the game. And after the game, reports say that somebody that was in an SUV with Ja pointed a red beam at the Pacers bus. And I know one thing, if I'm somewhere and I see a red beam, you know, flashing on me, the first thing I'm thinking, somebody pointing a gun at me. That's that infrared. And the players on the Pacers team, they felt the same way. The security guard on the Pacers team felt the same way. So somebody that was with Ja Morant, all right, was mad about what happened during the game, the little altercation that they had. We all seen it. But somebody pointed a red beam, and nobody knows for a fact if it was a gun or not. But I don't see nobody just flashing a little red beam, just nah. I think they were trying to intimidate the Pacers. But, that being said, those are, like I said, man, those are bullshit-ass ways. So that means that you rolling with people that have guns and are pulling guns out when they don't need to pull guns out. They're pulling guns out because they want to seem tough. They want to seem like they're the big shot. They want to seem like they're gangsters. And 9 times out of 10, they're probably not. I know Ja Morant, he ain't no gangster. I mean, you made it. Like, why are you trying to live that lifestyle? Something that's going to put you in a position that you don't want to be. Help me understand that. You made it already. Like, you set. Your family's set. Your kids are set. Just stay out of the bullshit, man. Don't try to live a life that you don't come from. And if you did came from, look at where you at now. You're a multi-millionaire hundreds of times over. But all that could be snapped away like that behind stupidity and bullshit and the people that you have around you. He got a bunch of young, dumbass motherfuckers that want to be G's. Yes, sir, man. That he says jump and they say how high. That's what he got around him. And what is going to end up happening is somebody in his little crew, entourage, is going to do some bullshit. Somebody's going to get killed, God forbid. And he's going to be caught up in it. He's going to be caught up in it. Then you have this incident of him being at the strip club. Okay? This motherfucker, he's all drunk, probably high, ain't no telling. He's dancing and shit, feeling good. And he pulls out a gun and he dangles it, on the camera, Instagram Live. So everybody's watching this dude, all this shit that he's already, bad publicity. So he on Instagram Live now, flashing guns. Like I said, want to show off. That ain't no gangster type shit, man. I don't give a damn how many motherfuckers you see doing that. You only pull out that gun if you're going to use it. You don't pull it just to show it off. You don't pull it out just to look cool or look badass or whatever you think you are. You pull that shit out if you need to because your life, your family's life, or your property is in danger. That's the only way it's supposed to come out. Gangster 101, all right? So whatever he think he's doing, that ain't no gangster type shit. And if his homeboys telling him that's some gangster type shit, they need to sit their ass down too. All right? Now, we're going to talk about his dad, Mr. T Morant. He seems like a pretty level-headed dude. He knows what's going on. I know he wants the best for his son. But you need to start, getting in your son's ear and telling him, pull him by his ear and tell him, look out, man. You need to slow down. All those little niggas that you got running around, they just want to run around and party and ride your coattail because you got that money, but they ain't no good for you. You need to start telling them. Put those people to the side. They don't mean you no well. They're going to bring you down. Like I said, there's plenty of examples. T. Morant. Let's talk about Allen Iverson. Look at all the shit that Allen Iverson went through because he wanted to hang out with motherfuckers doing bullshit, Thank God he didn't end up, in prison for a long time or nothing like that. But there's plenty of examples. I mean, man, Gilbert Arenas. Y'all remember Gilbert Arenas? Look at what happened when he got caught with those guns in the locker room. Career over with. And he had a big-time contract. So, Michael Vick. We saw what happened when Michael Vick got in trouble fighting the dogs and all that shit. His career. So when you start getting these bad publicities and you breaking the law and you go to jail, it's not good for your career, homie. Count your blessings. Do what you got to do. God gifted you with that talent. Use it. Use it for the good of it. Don't be out there trying to be a fucking thug because you're not. You don't come from that lifestyle. You don't got to live that lifestyle. And like I said, Dad, talk to your son. You mean well for him? Tell him to sit his ass down. All those people that don't mean him no good, you know who I'm talking about. Stop being a fan and be a dad. Tell him the truth. Give a damn if he got money. Tell him the truth. We all want the best for our kids, man. I mean, let's keep it real, man. We all want the best. So hopefully Mr. Ja Morant doesn't end up, fucking off his career, throwing away all those millions of dollars. Hopefully get his shit together. Like I said, he's young, gifted. The sky's the limit for him if he plays his cards right. Cut all those motherfuckers that you hang out with, cut them off. Cut them off. They ain't no good. They're gonna bring you down. Concentrate on your career and your family. Show love to your community. Help people out. That's what you do. All that gangster shit, trying to be a fucking gangster rapper all in the club and all that, fuck all that, man. Come on, man. All right? So, I appreciate y'all joining me today. Like I said, it's a cautionary tale. This is not anybody's point of view, but my point of view. All right? It's crazy because when I was in the penitentiary, I met this big old Crip dude, man. His name, Daryl Davis, but they call him 6'4". And he from San Antonio, Texas. Crip nigga. Big old swole up nigga. Nigga walk like this. And he tell me one day, he said, look out, Panama. He said, you know why they call me 6'4"? And I'm like, shit. I guess because you 6'4", 6 feet 4 inches. And he said, nah. He said, 'cause I'm actually 6'2". He said, they call me 6'4", because I hit the nigga 6 times in the head and 4 in the body. I said, okay. So he tells me, he said, man, you remember Ty Detmer, quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles? And I'm like, hell yeah. He said, I went to school with him. Now, you hear this shit all the time. I went to school with son. I could have played pro ball with son. And I'd be like, all right, a lot of motherfuckers just be running their mouth. But he tell me, he said, man, come on up to my cell, man. We feel smoke one. And let me show you my newspaper clippings. So he pulls out this big ass binder and like a photo album with newspaper clippings. And I start reading. And it's talking about Ty Detmer throwing the ball, football, to wide receiver, blue chip wide receiver, Daryl Davis. I'm talking about 6'4". The niggas locked up with me, the big Crip nigga that I'm talking about. All right? You out the 6'4", man, shout out, baby, man. But I'm looking at these newspaper clippings, and Daryl Davis, a.k.a. 6'4", he was a monster. All those passes that Ty Detmer was throwing and setting all those records, passing, yards, touchdowns, Daryl Davis, that was the connection between them. They even played varsity basketball together. So what I'm trying to say is 6'4", he can never get out the gang lifestyle. He grew up in the projects. He talks about how Ty Detmer's dad who had to come down to the projects to get him just to go to practice. Too busy out there getting high, gang banging, in the streets. So that's not the case with Ja Morant. He comes from a good background. And I want to see the youngster do what he got to do, what God gifted him with. Take advantage of it, help himself, his family, and help other people out. You're no longer just a regular kid. You have expectations, you have responsibilities, and you got to handle your business. I'm rooting for you. Let's see what you do, Mr. Ja Morant. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining me on my channel.